they're trying to keep some illusion of freedom anyway, and that's to me all that is. But yeah, I think there's a lot of different reasons why people don't seem to care as much when people in other areas or third world countries or wherever die, and it makes sense. But I think the biggest issue to me is the whole nationalism, because there's people that feel that way because of, nationalism. Oh, you're part of our country, our government, they wouldn't really say our government, but that's really what it is. Our country, our, I would say that country stands for government in that scenario. So I think the fact that people look at it that way this is our government, like the allegiance to the government, and we only care about the people that are under our government. Fuck those people over there, because some of them are bad and did fucked up things. Think about this and all the things that the American government has done, and that they blame you, that people, because it's the same shit. It's turning around. If some other country bombed the U.S. and a bunch of innocent civilians got killed, and which I would say sort of happened in 9/11, although I believe the CIA was involved in that, so it wasn't another country. But let's just say it was, and that all the attackers were from Saudi Arabia, and well, I guess they were originally, even if they were trained by the CIA, which makes more sense of them being friends with Saudi Arabia as, we need some, Arabs to blame this on. So we need some of your people to be CIA operatives. But let's just say another country did it, or we can even take a fictional scenario. So another country bombs the U.S., and it's a country that the U.S. has dropped bombs on themselves and drone bombed, or like Yemen or Pakistan, or not really Pakistan so much because they got nuclear weapons, but one of those countries in the Middle East, or you could say Iraq, but it's kind of a mess, or say Iran. Iran drops a bomb and then says, although the U.S. hasn't done, I think, as much to Iran in the way of attacking them as they have covert operations and installing regimes and stuff like that. And they would say, well, who gives a fuck about those civilians? They didn't stop the United States from doing all the stuff that they did to us. And it's the same shit. And it's like getting into a cycle of, well, these people deserve it because they didn't do this, but how are you supposed to stop them anyway, even if you wanted to? And why should the civilians be blamed for what the government's doing? They might not even support their fucking government. So the whole thing of not caring, I guess, and it's not even not caring, but thinking it's okay to go into another country and just bomb people because they're not part of your government, but it's okay for your country to do it, but not okay for their country to do it. So just something, I guess, to think about. And, I wouldn't sit there and say that I care and think it's wrong. I mean, I don't sit there and, stay up late stressing out about it. But at the same time, I don't think that it's right what they're doing, and I think it's fucked up. Not to mention that they're doing it with money extorted from me and everybody else. So I don't think that because they feel, and this is what they tell people, but this isn't even the real thing anyway, because they feel, oh, these are terrorists, nations, or they sponsor terrorism or whatever, we got to go in and bomb them and kill innocent civilians. And I don't think it's ever been about that. So I want to get to the whole empire thing. And then if we have time, I have some other things that I want to go through. Maybe I'll go through the couple other things first. First, Glenn Beck said, and this I don't get, and I'm not able to verify this. I would assume if he said it because he is somebody that is attacked on a regular basis, that he's done his research here. But I can't 100% back this up. But he said that Obama now won't bomb ISIS because they now don't want to kill any civilians. Where now Russia is going into Syria and bombing all these areas. And supposedly now I saw an article where they're killing civilians. I don't know. And it was an AP article. And I almost feel like you got this whole propaganda war going on between Russia and the U.S. It's almost like the Cold War again, but it's different. But it's a similar type thing in that you kind of have like I don't know what you'd call it. I mean, they're not at war, they're talking, but it's kind of like, they're enemies, but they're not. But anyway, this is from AP. It says Syrian troops seize territory from Izin Central Province. That doesn't make sense in English, but is the name of it Izin Central Province? Did they seize territory from Izin? Or is that supposed to be IS? Because they have a million names for it. Anyway, I noticed Obama always call them ISIL, but they said that they killed some civilians, and maybe they did, and they said 403, and of course they go into children, and 97 children under the age of 18. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know, but now it's like, how are you going to, you're going to hear one thing on one side and one on the other. So the U.S. and Russia are they're definitely having a proxy war and a propaganda war. And, well, actually a proxy war, because assuming ISIS is under the control of the U.S. government and the CIA, which I believe they are, they're fighting against Russia. So, I mean, because now Russia is allied with Syria, and they're out there bombing ISIS or ISIL or whatever the fuck you want to call them today. They should just call them that. What would be the acronym? Whatever the fuck. WTF. No, it would be too long. And then it would be think what the fuck. But I almost think that, I mean, it is AP, but AP is supposedly supposed to be reliable. I don't believe anything I read anymore. I do, but I don't. I'll question everything. I'll try to compare it to something else, to look at multiple sources, but it's hard to, I just go with what the information says. Does it make sense compared to other sources, and then kind of just go with my gut, I guess. And I don't mean like in that sense. I mean in the sense of thinking about it and thinking, does this kind of fit into this, what's going on? Does it fit into the big picture? You can't really take one thing by itself because of everything that's going on. And I would say that may be true, that many civilians got killed, but it may not be true. And then it could be, well, they really weren't civilians. I don't know. And if they did, that's fucked up as well. But that's a lot of civilians to kill and bombing these places. So I don't know. I mean, I know they have the technology, Russia as well. I mean, they're a military power, that they have the technology to pretty much get exact over what they want to bomb. So they have 3D dog t-shirts. Sorry. And I'm looking at this article and they have an ad there. Ads just come up now, of course. It analyzes your data, and based on that, it will have ads that pop up. I don't know why a 3D dog t-shirt would come up, although I do like dogs. And I have a dog, but I don't know why they think I'd fucking wear that shirt. It's kind of, it's freaky looking, man. It's like, at least from the picture, yeah, it makes it look like you have a dog sticking out of your chest. So that's a little freaky there. Especially the shirt that's all black. And there's the black dog there. Not to do with anything racial. But I look at this and I don't know whether to believe it or not. So I would need to, I got it from AP, look at some other articles and see. But I think you're going to have a propaganda war as well between the U.S. and Russia. And you have, because essentially the U.S. is on the ISIL side. I mean, you have the U.S. in ISIL, and then you have like Russia, Syria, Iran that are kind of fighting together there. And it's crazy, but it totally makes sense why they would go and create an army. And if you just look at the history of ISIS or ISIL or whatever the fuck it is, I mean, they came out of nowhere. Obama was saying Al Qaeda was decimated at the time. It just makes so much sense. They wanted, it came out of, they wanted Assad out of Syria.